Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is change my fan so it's not blowing in my face. And now that that's fixed, I'm going to do the simplest mod I can possibly do. Okay, now in order to get this mod done, we're going to go over the very basic steps here. We're going to go ahead and open this up on my GitHub, right? Which is right here. It's cddt reborn slash tekken dash 8 dash resources, whatever. I've got a starter's guide. Okay, it's a very basic starter's guide. You're going to grab this custom UE5. You cannot grab it from the marketplace. You got to grab it from here. So grab it here or grab it here. There's two parts or the one part, one folder. When you get it, unzip it and go through the steps of getting it up. When that's done, you're going to grab Konji's project. Okay, this project takes a while. Come to the Tekken Modding Discord or the Modding Zaibatsu Discord to get help with this part if you run into a struggle. Okay, but once you get it set up, get this stuff in here. Follow this guide. This will get your Unreal Engine set up, right? Okay, these are some good tools to have. F-Model. I've got a guide on how to set up F-Model, which is what you're going to need. And there's also the U-Model guide to set up. I suggest using F-Model. It's pretty much the standard right now. So there's the F-Model setup guide, and this is a link to the actual F-Model site where you can download it. This PSK import add-on is also going to be necessary to get your stuff into Blender. All right. Now, also, if you have not set up your Blender, I deeply suggest doing this. This will help you a lot. Go to this site and look for the part where it says about fix your XP export issues. Okay. Those are very necessary. The rest of this is not really finished, so this is pretty much where it kind of stops for now. You don't need to do all this stuff. If you're going to need this base SKT, but we can kind of help you out with that when you get in. I'll show you where it's at and where it's located. So once you have this, now get Blender, or if you're using another 3D software, I guess you could use that. But most people use Blender, so if you're going to ask for help, that's where most people are going to refer you back to. So I get that. I think Blender's up to like 4.2 or 4.3. I still use 3.6 because of certain add-ons and such. Now I have an add-on that you can grab if you want. It's in the code section. It's this. I'm going to use it. I may use it in this thing. Modding Assistant, grab the latest version. I got one new version that I haven't put out yet because I got a couple things I'm messing with, but you'll see that I use it whenever I do this. I might use it. I don't know. Either way, that's the basics, right? So before you start asking about all kinds of crazy stuff, you need to have Unreal Engine, and you're going to need to have F-Model, and of course access to Tekken on PC, right? If you don't have those three things, you're not going to do anything anyways. So get those things started and you're good. Okay, so let's jump into Blender. And we'll jump into F-Model as well. But we're going to open up my Blender, and we're going to open up F-Model, right? So Blender's open, whatever. When you get into F-Model, you're going to load everything, all your stuff, right? Just click to all, go to load. The setup is there. I'm not going to go over the setup for this, but I am going to go over where you can grab a mesh. So you can go into content, go into characters, where all of your stuff is going to be for meshes. You're going to go to item. There's two item folders. One has like a little bit of stuff in it. One has all of this stuff. You want the one that has everything in here. If you're using U-Model, I don't think they're split, but I digress. Nonetheless, then you're going to go to models, and then you go to unique, and these are going to be where all your characters are. On the Tekken Mods website, there is a guide with all kinds of lists on which character name abbreviation is what. That is also on my GitHub. That is going to be in the wiki section. You might have to drop it down in, where is it at? Info dump. So I call it diary because I keep adding stuff as I get in. So go down and you can find your character abbreviations here. I've got item positions and all kinds of other stuff, but you'll find this information also in the Discord, and you'll find it on TekkenMods.com. So it's just multiple places you can find it. So let's just grab a character. Let's grab I'll grab Asuzena, right? And I'm gonna grab her full body because that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna grab her bikini outfit because, you know, it's great. I'm gonna go to meshes, open it up, and here's her mesh. She has an MSL. We'll talk about this in just a moment, but she just has an MSL here. So I'm gonna go ahead and right click on it and then save the model. Now take a few seconds, whatever, to go ahead and save it. Now, in Tekken 8, there's two types of setups for a character. There's an MSL and there's a PRP. Now, the difference between the two is the MSL is the main rig. It's the driving animation rig, and then PRP is another rig that will help that particular mesh and that model conform to every other character, right? So what that means is if a character like this has an MSL only, right? That means that this mesh is built for Asuzena's proportions, okay? Now, if I were to go and take a look at the common items that she shares, I could find those, and I'll find that they are also going to have a MSL and a PRP, and that's because those are universal female items. So those will actually fit exactly on Asuzena and exactly on Asuka and exactly on Zafina, all of them. Well, maybe not Zafina because of her hand, but every other character besides Alyssa and Zafina is going to be able to wear those different things, right? It's also important to note that whenever we do our mod, we can choose to make it MSL or make it MSL and PRP. My suggestion is to keep it MSL as much as possible, right? And to help with that, we have Salt had made a blend file that you can use, right? And I'm gonna kind of demonstrate that. So if I wanted to just grab the MSL, I could do that. When I do that, I can click on here, and it will take me directly to wherever it's located, right? And then usually what I'll do is I'll just copy this and come into Blender. In Blender, I'm gonna go ahead and just import an Oh nope, I have to use that add-on, right? Add-ons. If you don't know how to install an add-on, just check it out on YouTube. It's really simple. But I'm going to import, and then I'm going to drop that in here. All right, so here we go. So I got this mesh right here, and what I do is I choose not to orient bones, and then I set scale down, right? So it doesn't scale down. So it's going to be its full size. It's going to be big. Oop, there it is. So there she is, big as Susanna. So what I want to do is make a mod right now, right? So we're going to do the MSL only. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab let's grab like a cube here. And I'm just going to be like, I'm going to make a super stickman mod, right? So we're going to model, I'm going to make this the body, right? And then let's go up here and let's cut this into 4s, I guess. Or actually, let's cut this into 3s. And I'm going to get rid of this middle one. I'll cut this. Oops. All right, I'm going to hit backslash to isolate just the box. Oops, I did it wrong. Let me go out of edit mode. All right, there's my box. Okay, cool. And I'm just going to make, and you're going to use your own model, but I'm going to make a model real quick, right? The stupidest, simplest model possible. All right. And we'll give it a neck too. Okay, so here's my model. There we go. So I'm just gonna grab this piece up here, and I'm actually gonna split this in half real quick. I'll just make a seam real quick. Boom. L by seam, X to delete these faces. And I'm gonna make a mirror. And I'm just doing this because I don't want to do it on both sides, right? So I'm gonna grab this arm here, and I'm gonna grab my little tool here and just pull it out, and then rotate it a little bit, and there's my super janky arm. And actually, let's extrude it instead of doing that. So I'm gonna E, then extrude it, and rotate it. Okay, so there's my really janky arm. I'm gonna go ahead and make a little loop cut here, and boop, move this over. There we go. Super janky, right? All right, let's do the same thing for the legs. We'll go E. Actually, do I have one on this? Yeah, whatever. So we're gonna E, extrude it down, and move it out a little bit. And then I'm just gonna grab this little, hold on, we're gonna grab this and just bring it in a little bit for a little crotch area. Okay, nice. And now I'm gonna grab this, go boop, extrude that as well. And I'll just cut the face up the top. Okay, so now I got my little person here. Alright, this is like an A+ model. Yeah, this is some of my best work ever. Okay, so I'm also going to go in here and I'm going to, let's do a regular subdivide. Yeah, we're just going to subdivide it a couple of times. Boom. If you want to see what it looks like, you can uncheck this and then look at it here. Oh, it's not showing. Oh, there it is. Okay. Look, there we go. So now I've got a whole bunch of subdivisions. And actually, I'm going to delete this real quick and I'm going to go to multi-res because then I can do the same thing. And then I'm going to go into sculpt mode real quick and I can sculpt it, right? And I just want it a little bit closer. Hit Control Z, make sure I've got symmetry on real quick. And I'm just going to make it a little bit more like a person. There we go, a fat person. All right. Make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So now I've got my weird little character person. Got a bunch of topology on it. Right, I'm not going to really do the feet all like that. Nope, let's get her butt area down real quick. Move that down about there, move this around. A little push and pull. Like this is not some fancy stuff. You know, but it's whatever. And it doesn't have to be perfect. But I'm like a perfectionist, so it's kind of really hard for me to do that. But I digress. Okay, cool. So I've got this. I'm going to go ahead and make sure clipping is on. Well, I'm going to turn it off real quick. Hey, turn it off. Hey, get out of here. Go into edit mode. And make sure this is in the center. So I'm going to hit SX0. Alright, cool. And clipping. Alright, cool. So there's my beautiful character. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and just apply all of this. There we go. Not parent. To apply all this at one time, I can just right click and then convert to mesh. Or if I wanted to, I could individually apply those. But that's a Blender lesson, and that's not what I'm doing right now. So I've got my body. I'm going to hit A, Control A, all transform, so everything is set. I've got my rig right here. I haven't changed it. I haven't moved any bones. I haven't done any of that. You do not want to change these bones. You want to make sure whatever you're doing is going to match the Tekken rig, especially if it's an MSL, because it's going to match her proportions exactly, right? So now that I have that, I need to go ahead and transfer the weights, right? So I've got the weights right here. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to hold shift and then I'm going to click on this body. We're going to go up to weight transfer. I'm going to go to weights, transfer weights. Down here, I'm going to set this to nearest face interpolated. I usually set this to like 1,000. Set it to whatever you want to. And then I change it to name. All right. Now I can verify that I have weights on here by clicking on here and going to weights and then go to my vertex groups over here and I can just cycle through them. You'll see that they all have weights, right? But the character is not going to move or anything right now because she's not parented. If I go in and I move this mesh, right? Go to pose mode and I move it. I'm just going to select it and hit R to rotate some stuff, right? Rotate. My little person doesn't do anything, which is bad. So we need to go ahead and parent it. So I'm going to right click on this and then you hold shift, click on this, then right click, go to parent, armature deform. And as you can see up here, now my mesh and the game mesh is together, right? Underneath of this. If I unparent it by hitting clear parent, then it goes away. So let's put her back on. Parent, armature, and we're doing armature deform. You don't want to do with empty groups. You don't want to do with automatic weights. Not for Tekken 8. Not unless you know exactly what you're doing. So armature deform. Now, with this set, I can go to my pose mode and I can move this stuff around. And now we see this beautiful model with horrible topology is moving right along with the Tekken character. All right, beautiful. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and just hide her because I don't need it. Right, and so now I've got this. If I move this, that moves. Everything is good. Always do a check to make sure my faces are facing outwards. So when you set to see the face orientation, right here, it should all be blue. If it's red, then the faces are the wrong way and it'll look invisible. And this is one beautiful piece of work. Okay, cool. So let's make a very quick material for her. And I don't really even need to do anything for this, right? Because this is just going to be a super demo. So I'm just going to call this beautiful. I'm going to call it MI for material instance and call it beautiful. I don't know. My eyes are bad, so I don't know if I spelled that correctly. So whatever. So I just wanted to have a material slot whenever I bring it into Unreal Engine. And that's pretty much it. So now I'm going to hit A to select everything that's visible, right? Make sure that you have it set to selected objects. I'll show you. And then make sure you're selecting all the objects you want, right? If I just export it like a FBX right now, it will grab everything in my scene and make it as one FBX, and that is not what we want. All right, so we're going to hit A and export FBX. And I'm going to make a new folder for this. We'll call this demo my first mod. And I'm just going to SK Beauty Girl. Doesn't matter what the name is. Now, for my settings, I don't know if you can see them very well, but I have a preset that I use for just my general stuff, and it's this. And I'm using Blender 3.6, so some of these things might be a little bit different for yours. So I've got all of this stuff selected. I've got to make sure it's selected objects, so just whatever I selected is being exported. I keep my scale at 1. All this stuff is standard for the most part. In geometry, I make sure it's the faces. I got apply modifier, so if I had any modifier on here and it wasn't applied, it would apply it when it exports. Like I triangulate faces and tangent space. As for armature, for me it works as Y axis and X axis. If you import it into Unreal Engine and your character is like laying down or facing up or backwards or whatever, then you can come back in here and try to figure out which one of these is the right one to get it done. Once you have all of this set up, just hit plus to make a preset so you can go back to it whenever you want to, right? One thing I did forget is I have to change the scale of my scene, right? So I'm going to go here and I'm going to make sure this is at 0.01 and this is at centimeters. Some people don't do this. I feel like it's this. If I do it like this, it will always work. If I always make sure this is set to import without scaling down, I know that this is the right size that something is supposed to be. If you want to check and verify, you can click on your mesh and you'll go up to I believe item, and your character should be approximately like between like 110 and 130 centimeters or 1.3 if it's centimeters, right? That's going to be the general size of a Tekken character. If it's bigger than that, then it's going to be huge in game. If it's smaller than that, it's going to be really small in game. And just the mesh was going to be small. It's going to be all super confusing. So I digress, but that's it. So let's go ahead, and now that my scene is set, I'm going to hit A, file, export, FBX. Let's see, demo, SK, BATI. All right. I'm going to make sure my preset that I like to use is set and done. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and open up Unreal Engine. And I like to have like shortcuts to everything. So there's mine to the Polaris project. Okay, so while that's opening, there is a great resource on tekkenmods.com. Let's take a look at it real quick. Base mesh. All right, so here's the base mesh for the females. If you open this up and download it, you'll get a blend file. in that blend file, the way that you should use the blend file is to append items to your scene. So in this case, say I wanted to grab the common body, right? I can go ahead and I can go to append, and then I'm going to find wherever I save it. And I believe it's here. And you're going to find the file. I got a bunch of different variations of stuff. So 2.0. When you go in here, you're going to go all the way down to object, and you're going to look for your character. So let's see, I think you use the regular names. So you have Azucena. I would suggest grabbing all three and hit append. So it'll take a little bit of time and it'll bring it in. And it is all right here. And to keep things organized, I suggest using collections. So to keep this here, I'm going to make sure these are visible. I'm just going to hit M with all those selected and make a new collection and just call this demo. Right. That way I can just hide it if I don't want to see it. And this is the body. And this is the body for Azucena. Right. And this is at her actual proportions. That's why I kind of matched up with mine. If I wanted to use a common one, which I'll do in the next portion of this, you would do it the same way. You would go ahead and append and bring it into your scene. That way you keep the blend file that you downloaded like untouched and unmessed up. All right. So I'm just going to delete this for now, so I don't need it. I'll turn this back on. All right, let's get back in here. Okay, so now I'm in Unreal Engine and I need to bring in my stuff. So let's go to, I create like my own little folder with my name on it. And I think I have a demos section. Demos. Here we go. I'm going to make a new folder so I keep organized. I'm going to call it Beauty. B-A-U-T-Y. All right, Beauty. And I like to keep my folders organized as well, so I'll make a folder for meshes. And the game does this too, right? Textures. New folder. Items, which is not the same as the items folder in the game, but it's okay. And then materials, and you can name these whatever you want to. They don't have to be this. This is going to be your own folder where you can keep your stuff. So I'm going to go to meshes, and I'm going to go to import, and I'm going to bring in that mesh. Now, if you do not already have a base SKT set up, you can grab it from my GitHub as well. My goal here is not all this stuff is mine. A lot of this stuff is mine, but a lot of this stuff I'm trying to gather up information that people can use and keep it in one spot, in addition to the other spots we already have. But I believe I have a folder here for its. Maybe I didn't upload it. I thought I did. Oh yes, here it is. MSL PRP SKT. You'll need this. You're going to download it, put it in your contents folder, and you'll be good to go. But I digress. Let's get back to this. Let me go and find my beautiful. Right, so we're doing an MSL. I set it up to an MSL rig, so I need to make sure I attach it to the skeleton, right? So I'm just going to type in MSL, and there we go. Import. Now, if you get any errors with your hierarchy, you're going to need to check a couple things. You need to check to make sure that you set up your armatures the correct way, right? So if you didn't use the blend file, or not the blender fix that I suggested earlier, you're going to need to rename it, your actual armature, to armature for whatever reason, so that it works. So I suggest just use the blend file. But another thing is that you didn't actually parent it, right? Where your mesh is underneath it there, or you didn't, or you changed and added bones or moved bones around. You don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and open it up and see what this looks like. So here's our girl, right? And this is kind of how you should see it. If you just see like a little teeny tiny person and a big old gray, your stuff is too big. If you see a little teeny tiny square and a big old person, your stuff is way too big. All right, so this is what it should kind of look like, right? Maybe not as pretty as mine, but you know, it is what it is. So these are our details for our mesh. I have a material slot that I created in Blender called Beautiful, but I have no material actually for it. So let's go ahead and make a material. Now, making a material is pretty simple. We're going to just use references to do that. I have a base material that you can use in my materials pack. That's also on my GitHub. I'll go back there and show you where it's at real quick. It's this one. It's the one that's newest. I don't know how to like make these versions better. So it's this one. This is set up so that you can actually see what you're working with. And or you can use there's MIs, scripts, and stuff like that on the Zabatsu Discord if you want to use that. Nonetheless, I'm making a simple material. So I'm gonna go in here, and I'm not gonna create a material. I'm gonna create a material instance. So I'm gonna go down here to material. I'm gonna go to material instance, and then I'm just gonna paste that name in. I don't have to use that name, but it's easier to just use the name of the material slot you have, at least in my experience. So we're going to open that up and see what we need to do with it. So when I open it up, it's just going to be a square or a circle, however your stuff is set up. And I need to find a parent material. And here I'm going to use let's see, RGB. This is what it's called. So MCH item ID RGBA. This is a very common material, base material that's used by a lot of characters. So I kind of use this as the main thing. And we're gonna set it up real quick. It's pretty simple. I have a bunch of colors that I use for things. So I'm gonna grab. Let's see. I have a common folder, textures, and I have a little color folder here. So I'm gonna grab this black, this blank, and this white one, and I'm gonna bring these over to my textures, and I'm gonna copy them there. I don't want to move them. I just want to copy them, right? So here we go. So let's add it. So my base color, I'm just gonna make my base color pure white. My normal map, I'm just gonna leave it with the default normal map. It's like this weird bumpy thing, but I don't know a normal map I want to use right now. So that's what I'm going to use. And because I'm using the default, I don't have to change it. Right? As for an ID map, mine is set to this red linear, which is it. We're not going to use an ID map in this example, so it really doesn't matter. I can just leave that blank. OBD, this is my opacity and my dirt mask, and I don't really have one. So opacity is the red channel is white, the green channel is black, and then the dirt channel is usually like a white or black. So I'm just gonna make this one white so that it's all there, right? Pattern, I'm gonna use white as well. Now when you use the pattern, this overlays over top of your entire mesh. So I don't need to worry about the ID because this is like a sticker that covers the entire mesh. Let's see, for RMA, let's see, red is, I want it to be full roughness, so that'll be whatever. Metallic is the next one, which is green. I want that to be black, and then the AO is blank, which is all white. So if I do the color scheme, that would be a red plus blue, so that would be a aquamarine color. So I'm gonna grab one of those, or not, a magenta color, and I'll copy that there, and we're gonna put that one here. And then the TSC is, I want the translucency to be black. I want the specular to be black and the mist to be black, so I'll just use black. All right, boom. Okay, cool. So now I've got this flat black thing. Now, if you don't have this material for whatever reason, you can still create a dummy version, right? And to create a dummy version is very simple. You would go into where this is located, right? So in this case, MCH item ID RGBA. So if I opened up F model and I wanted to find a base material that I wanted to reference to kind of use the properties of, I would have to find it. So let's see, let's go to, I'm in character. Let's go to common. Nope, that's not where I want to go. Let's see, let's go to item. And then there's, let's see, shared. And then we got preset materials here. I can open up the material here. I think I got this MCH item. I can look at different materials here. Like in this case, uh, let's see, the base one would be like this one here, like item. Oops, it's just a base color. And if I wanted to use this as my base, I would grab this and then I would have to make it myself. And it would have to be in the location where this is at. So in this case, this would be shared, preset, material, and then materials. So let's go to that location. If you do not have that folder structure in your Unreal Engine, then you got to make it. So let's take a look at the structure real quick. So I got character, item, shared, preset, materials. So I have a character folder, boop, item folder, shared, and then I made a preset material folder and I got materials. And I think I already have it in here. So let's grab one that I don't have already. I don't even know. Let's grab like this Fresnel one. I don't think I have this. Do I have a Fresnel one? Doesn't look like it. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna make a really quick, dirty material. Now you can also use Peak script if you want to learn how to do that, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna make an actual material this time, even though it's a material instance. I'm gonna make it because I need stuff out of it. So this thing I'm gonna reference in my base material. So we'll use this as an example, right? And kind of like show you how it works. So let me go ahead and just copy this name so I don't have to do a lot of searching. Click on here, paste it in. There we go. So when I open this up, I don't have anything where I can add any textures and stuff. So what I need to do is create the actual like parameters that I'll need. So I would open up this material just like so. And what we have is a material stack, and there's a bunch of little nodes in here that we're gonna use. So let's go ahead and take a look at F model real quick and see what we're going to be changing. Now in this case, I'm going to keep it as base as possible. And the way it works in Unreal Engine is that everything is inherited based. So whatever the master material has gets pushed onto the material instance. All right. So this is a parent to this MCH item ID RGBA. But this has some things changed in it, right? That's what it is. So the material instance is like a variation of that basic one, right? And it's got some textures loaded to it as base textures and whatnot, right? So this has got different tasks in it. It says it's going to use Fresnel for this one. It's going to disable this RMA. It's going to disable this base normal B, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. What I'm looking for. Okay, so this doesn't give me, does this give me enough data? It doesn't. Okay, so this one doesn't give me enough data to do what I want to do. So let's go somewhere where it kind of makes more sense. So let's go to a model. Let's go to Asazana. Let's go to her materials. Right, she's got one material right here for her little bikini. So if I close that, I'll have just the data for her bikini stuff. And what I'm looking for is the base material she's using. So she's using MICH item ANLT, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And let's get out of here real quick. Let's say no. Close that. And I think I already have it, but I'm going to try. Let's see if I do already. So I do already have it. So I'm going to find it, which I think is, what is it called again? Item ANLT. So this one. So I'm just going to yeet it out of here for the sake of this demo and whatever. All right. And now I'm just going to rename this one. Okay. So now this one's empty. Doesn't have anything. And this is the one I'm going to use for this demonstration. So I've got my little base material here. I got F model open, and I need to look at it, right? So these are IDs. We're not at the point where we are going to look at IDs and edit all, so we're just going to skip through all this stuff. ID. Okay, we're going to get down here to our vector parameter values. These are colors. These go along with the ID stuff. We're not going to use that either. Let's keep going, keep going. And we want some texture parameters. So we've got an AO normal map for an ID. These are still too advanced. We don't need any IDs. We want to get down to the regular name stuff. So we got base color A, base normal A, OBD, RMA, ID map, blah, blah, blah. All right, so these are all of the parameters that are being changed in its parent material, right? It doesn't mean it's all the parameters that exist. It's just the ones that we're seeing that are being changed. And we're going to go ahead and just change these again. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're not going to deal with a split number channel, any of that stuff. We're just going to get the base color, right? Base color A. So let's grab that. I'm going to go ahead and right click here and type in texture. And I'm looking for a texture sample parameter 2D, right? And I'm going to name it that, right? Base color A. And I can go ahead and hook this up right here so that it's there. Let's take a look at our other stuff. I'm not going to change anything else. I'm not going to change the normal map. I'm just going to use whatever basic normal they have. And we're not using this normal map. We're going to use the normal map that's associated with this parent material. I'm not going to change the OBD. I'm going to assume it's just blank and fully there. RMA should probably be a neutral one as well. ID map, I'm not using. But what I don't see in here is a parent or is a pattern map. And even though it's not listed here, we're going to go ahead and add it. I'll just let you know that it exists. You can get control copy and V. And the pattern map is just called pattern. And ideally, I could just not even include this base color. I could just include this here. Boom. Right? But if I wanted to actually set it up so that it worked the way it's supposed to, you would use something called a lerp node. So if I hit L and click, I get this little lerp node. And I'm going to stick this RGB pin up here. And I'm going to stick this RGB pin here. And then the alpha of this one will go here. All right. So basically what that'll do is it'll say, this is your base layer. And then on top of that, I'm going to put this one. And then it's only going to give to me whatever is shown as the alpha. In this case, the alpha is full. So it's just going to replace the whole thing. All right. So, but that's it. This is the as rudimentary of a material you can have. Well, actually this is, right? So I'm just going to yeet that out of here. And we'll yeet that one out of there too. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And this is not even going in my mod, so I don't care what texture. That's the default texture from the game. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this name. Let's go back to where my mod stuff is. So we'll go to our material, right? And this material is using that, right? And you can see now I have a little pattern material, a little pattern slot where I can add it. If I were to open this and say, so connect another one in here, right? So like boom, copy V. Hey, stop it. Copy V. Let's say I set up. Oh my goodness. I set up that base color. So base color underscore A, and we'll set up the little lerp node real quick that I had before. It's not argument. Small. Change the order real quick. And now instead of that one being in there, I'll just put this one here. It's going to be the same image. Go ahead and save it. And now what you'll see is when we go in to look at our material, I now have 2 slots. Yay. If I were to go into here and just create it, right? So let's unpin it. How do I always forget how to get rid of these things. break link. And let's get in. Right, so I've got this in here, right? And I've got this here. If I hit save. Now it's not showing up. So it has to find its way back to this stack to be included in that list. So we'll just plug it back in. Make sure we save it. And good. All right, so let's go ahead and add our super basic material, which is that white, or the texture. So, oops, where am I at? Let's find my stuff here. Textures. Okay, so I got a white texture. Drop it in here. Drop it. You can also add stuff in here by clicking on it and then hitting this little arrow, and it'll drop it as well. All right, everything else is going to be basic, right? This is not set up to look the way it's going to look in game. I don't know what the RMA and the other ones are set to right now, so it could look a little bit different, but just for the sake of having material on our stuff, that's what we're doing. Okay, cool. So save that. Let's go back to our little guy over here, or little girl. And one of the benefits of having the name set is I can just copy this name now and search for it, and there it is. And then okay, it's setting up the shader, and then when that's done, now I got a little white girl. All right. With 2 necks. That's funny. All right, so there we go. I don't need anything else. Let's save it. I can check to see if it moves okay as well. Right, I can go in here. Let's hit like I'll search for upper arm, and I can move it around. The bones in this one are a little bit crazy. It may look broken, but it's not. If these get moved all around, it doesn't matter. I just reset. You can hit Control A and just reset everything. But this is just to demo in editor stuff alone. All right, cool. So that creates like the actual mesh stuff, right? I got textures, I got meshes, I got material, right? Let's hit save all so we don't lose everything. Save often. It's always a good idea. Let's go ahead, and now I need to set up the actual, like how I'm going to put it in the game. So the thing that we're going to do is you need to have that Konji project so you can get these different items, right? So the way Tekken has it set up is it has something called a prefab, item prefab. And in that item prefab, there are 3 different files. So if I go here and I take a look at Asazena's stuff, I can kind of see how she's originally set up. So we're going to go all the way back to the character folder. All right, we can go back in here. And in this character then item folder, we can go down to item prefab. So item prefab. And I can go down to cat, which is Asazena's name. I can go down to BDF, which is full body. And I can look at how her stuff is set up, right? And it's special 01. So if I open it up, it's real simple, right? It's got 3 little slots. And it is in this location, right? Which is very important to know. Because the game is going to be looking for what already exists. All right? We're not at a point where we can tell it to do completely brand new stuff. So we got to follow the rules. So in this folder is this item. And we need to create that in our editor. Okay, so in our editor, we're going to go in, character, item, right? Item prefab. If you don't have it, make it. Make sure it's named exactly the way it is in the game. Now I have a cat folder. Here we go. That's for cat. I've got BDFs. So I've already made some. And I think I already have a SPO one. So this is a mod that I had made previous, but we're going to go ahead and I'm going to set this to the side. So I'm going to just hit pause. Now that that's not named, anything that's in the game won't be able to find that, and it will just bypass this. Well, it's not going to look for this. All right. But I am going to make an item prefab. So with Konji's project, I right click, go to item prefab, put the name in, and there we go. Now let's go ahead and open it up. And now we need those other pieces, but we're going to do a custom version, right? We're going to do the most basic custom version you possibly can. All right. So Because I'm using a full custom version, I don't need to refer to anything else. So I'm going to go to my items folder, and I'm going to make these files, but we're going to make a custom version, right? A BI, BCI, and a CI. So BCI is the easiest one to make. All it's in it, if I click on it, boom, is this. It's a fighter ID number. So Azucena is 29. So what I'm going to do is going to go right click, base item. Oops, not base item. Delete that for a second. Right click, base character item. And I'll just type BCI so I know what it is. And we'll call this beauty. Right? And then I'll open it up. And there, fighter ID. Let's write it 29. Nice. Now I can go back here and I can drop it in. Cool thing is, it's only going to accept certain types of files. So I need this BCI item, and it's only going to allow me to put it in the BCI slot. So I can't mess that up. So boom, there it is. Now let's go ahead and make a BI. So, or we'll make the CI. Now we're not going to actually make a actual CI. Like we're not going to go in and fill any of this stuff out right now. So we're just going to make it empty so the game knows it's there. And it will just make your character uncolorable, which is fine. We're not doing anything right now. So CI, good. Now the base item is a little bit more, but not a lot. So let's go to our base item. Open that up. Let's change it to BI and beauty. And these names can be whatever you want to. You don't have to call them BI, BCI, BI, CI, or whatever, but it's easy. So I clicked on it and dropped it in here. Now I can open this up directly here, or I can just double click on it in here, right? So I open it up and it looks intimidating, but the only thing you're going to need to fill out is this position ID. And you can figure out the position ID by going to my GitHub or on secondmods.com, or you can look what the position ID is for the thing that you're already doing, right? So I'm doing a full body. I can open up the BI, take a look at it, and see it's very simple. And I see position ID is 6. And for all full bodies, the position ID will be 6. If you put a different number, then you're telling the game to load something different. So keep it consistent. Do it the right way. Now, for here, I've got the MSL and then I got a PRP option. We're only doing an MSL. I could do a PRP if I wanted to, but that's not what we're doing for this first one. So I just got this MSL and I'm going to drop it in there. I'm going to leave this blank because I don't have a PRP. And I'm not going to put any booba jiggles on it right now, so I don't need to deal with anything here. And at the very bottom, there's a is common item that I would use if it was a PRP mesh being used, but I'm not. So that's really all I need to do. Position ID and my mesh. Hit save. All right, cool. So I've got the main items that I need, right? I've got my BCI, BI, and CI. I've got my material. I've got my mesh. I got textures. Really, I'm only using one in this case. My material is referencing an existing material instance, right? It's just referencing it. It's just saying that go look here for this. It's going to go in a game and it's going to look for it. And this, when I hover over, has a file path. The file path for this item needs to be correct. So if you're not sure, hover over it and then make sure that matches where it's located in fmodel. And if it isn't, fix it. And if it is, you're good to go. Right? These things we're going to include in our mod, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. But if I was going to reference a texture for somewhere else, then I would need to make sure that's accurate. Right? So let's go to, yep, cool. And I'm going to hit save all, so I don't have any little plus signs, which means something isn't saved. Now I'm going to go to the top of my folder, right? This is why I like to keep things organized. And I'm going to create a data asset. Now in my guide, I show you how to set it up so you can right click and assign chunks. I don't ever do that. It's just not what I use. So we're going to make up a new chunk for it. And I have no idea what number I haven't used yet. So I'm going to try to go to my mods folder. And if you're familiar with modding and tagging, you should know where your stuff is at. But I'll kind of go over that as well. So I have a mods temp folder. And let's see, 8004. So I think 8005 should be open. I'm going to go ahead and go to my content folder up here and just type in 800. Let's see, do I have an 8005, 3, 4? No. So I'm going to call this new one 8005. All right, so I'm going to right click. I'm going to go down to miscellaneous. There we go. I'm going to go to data asset. And I'm going to type in primary. There we go. Save. All right. I'm going to name it the number so I can find it later. And I'll call this demo beauty. I'm going to open it up. This is pretty simple as well. The priority is always going to be 1. Your chunk ID is going to be whatever number you give it. So you can give it a different number than the one you labeled here if you chose to do that or not. It doesn't matter. But this is what's going to show up. This is where you're going to find it. So 8005 is what I have to set to. Your cook rule, you're going to set it to always cook. Okay. Now, here's your 2 options. We're going to use both options when it comes to assigning stuff in a chunk. So this is the level assets or load assets in my directory. I'm going to click this. What this does is it takes everything in this folder and below it. And let me go ahead and stop the search. So everything in this folder and all of these subfolders and any subfolder of these subfolders are going to be loaded into this particular chunk. So whenever I package it up, anything here is going to be in this chunk, right? Which is great. But we have one item that is outside of these folders, and it has to be outside this folder so the game, you know what I mean, can look for it. So we're going to go to the item prefab. We're going to go to cat. I'm going to go to BDF where it's located. I'm going to find my special O1, and I'm going to bring it over and drop it in. Now I can put anything in here, right? This is just any assets types that I have can go in here. So what this is going to say is when I do this mod, it's going to say, okay, grab everything in this folder, and then I'll also grab this. The game's gonna open up this when it gets to that point when you get in the game. You're like, hey, I'm gonna pick on this bikini, and it's gonna say, okay, what do I load? And it's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna load CI. There's nothing there. Cool, whatever. I just won't give you any colorization. BCI, okay, cool. 29, Osuzena, everything's matching up. We're good to go. And then BI, it's gonna be like, oh, okay, what do you got? So we're using a position ID 6 for full body. And you want to load this this mesh to it. Good job. So, and where is that mesh is located? Oh, it's in this reborn characters folder, which we are including in our package. If I click on this, right, kind of like follow the thing down. Why did that load? I clicked on the wrong one. Ah, okay. So this happens. And so I'm glad this kind of happened. So I clicked, I'm pretty sure, let's go ahead and delete that real quick. I clicked on this one, right? SPO1. Let's see. I'm going to bring it in. And see how it still says pause? Okay. That happens every once in a while, and I don't know why it sticks. It's because it doesn't actually like want to forget what this was called. So if that happens, what you'll need to do is just save all your stuff and just you can open the project again. So where is it? Yep, open project. Right, and you can navigate to it, or if you have like a shortcut like I do, you can just close it out, go back into it. Where's my launchers? And open it again. So before you actually do your package, it's a good thing to go through and check all your stuff to make sure it loaded. This usually only happens when I do stuff like this, where I have an existing like item and I just rename it. Sometimes it doesn't want to, it just still keep going back to the old one. I have no idea why it does it. So let's see if that fixed it. Let's go into my custom folder where I've got my mod going. Here we go, reborn, demo, beauty. All right, so let's open it up. And I don't have anything here, so I'm just going to open this up and make a new one. Let's go back and find our IP. I'll grab it. And now it's working. Okay, it's not grabbing this pause one. Now if I click on this, we can verify. It's going to now tell the game to go look for these 3 things in this particular locations, which are in the mod that we're making. All right, so I'm not going to go over any of that anymore. We're all set. So I'm going to go back in here, make sure everything's saved. And we're going to go up to platforms and we're going to go Windows and package projects. And we should be all set to go. Now this is going to take a minute to do its whole cook thing. But yeah, so while this is doing this, I'll show you how to set up, or at least how I set up the my PRP and MSL meshes to work. So let's go in here and I'm going to go to hide this and I'm going to yeet these out of here real quick. All right. So as I said before, we're going to use the append option, right? So I'm going to go to file and I'm going to go to append. And in here, I'm looking for full body. I think it's full. What do they call it? MSL. I don't know what the exact name is. But what I'm looking for is not the common lows. I just want the actual, like, I thought it was called full. Yeah, so full body PRP and full body MSL. So one of these is the mesh, one of these is the skeleton. So I'm going to grab the full body PRP, both capital and lowercase, full body, and go ahead and import those. Because I'm going to need the bones and whatnot, right? So I imported those. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and hide these meshes, or hide these rigs. Well, actually, let's hit Control Z and bring them back. Let's put all of this stuff into its collection. So new collection, we'll call this MSL PRP. Okay. All right. So what I like to do, because there is an issue, if you bring in a mesh, right, whether it's the original mesh or whatever, if you bring in a mesh and your MSL and your PRP do not have the exact amount of faces and the exact amount of vertices, it will explode in your game. And it's not going to explode and break anything, but your character will look like it's been ripped apart. It's going to look like it was in that Loki show, you know what I mean? Where time is getting erased. It's going to be nightmare fuel. So if you don't want that to happen, this is one of the best ways that I found to resolve that issue. So what I'm going to do is I've got both of these loaded and they're right over top of each other. That's why they look all like crazy like this. And they're the exact same mesh, except each of them have their own weights. So if I go in here and look at the MSL weights, these weights are just for MSL stuff. I'm not going to find any PRP stuff on here. These muscle weights are kind of like the tail that is here. And on this one, if I go through, you see a lot of PRP. So they have different bones and they have different weights. And I want to put that all on one, right? So to do that, what I normally do is I just create a quick cube. I hit S to scale it up. And if I hit Shift D, I'll duplicate it. And I'm just going to copy weights from one to the other, right? So I'll click on it. We're going to, with them both clicks, we'll go to weight paint. I'm going to go to weight transfer. And I'm going to do nearest vertex and this part can be whatever, it doesn't matter. This is going to be name, but I'm going to switch this to add, right? Because I don't want to replace the weights, I want to add them. And I do it here because I always get nervous because whenever this opens up, whatever this is set to, it just does, right? So I don't want it to like kind of like mess up and replace things and I have to switch it around. So I just do this preemptive thing before I do this setup. So now that I did that, I'm gonna go ahead and delete those, yeet them out of here. And I want these PRP weights to be on this mesh. And if I look at this right now, right, let's go ahead and hide the PRP. If I click on the MSL and I go to pose mode, I can grab it and I can move it, right? Let's go ahead and hide that mesh real quick. If I click on the PRP, right, bones, and I move it, nothing happens, right? Cool. If I parent this MSL to this PRP, right, parent armature deform, and now I go to move the PRP, nothing happens. Now the PRP one's moving, but not the one I just put on here. So A, they're all transforms. There we go. Now let's put this one back on here, parent. Okay. So let's go ahead and hide the rigs real quick. So what I want to do is I want to unhide my PRP. So I'm going to click on my PRP. And now it's different in the 3D viewpoint than in the outliner. In the 3D viewpoint, I would click on one, hold shift, and click on the other one. In this case, I'm going to click on PRP, hold control, and then click on this one. All right, so now they're both selected. We'll go into weight paint. I'm going to go to transfer weights. And now all those settings where it's going to add those weights are now going to be here. Okay, so what did that do? So now, if I look at my MSL and I sift through here, you can see, look, there's PRP weights all over the place. PRP, PRP. Keep going up. I'm going to run into, oh, there's so many weights. So many weights. Right? And we also have the muscle. So now this particular mesh, this female common body mesh, has the weights for both the MSL and the PRP. And what that means is I can move this between meshes, right? So in this example, right, I can move her, right? We'll go into pose mode, let's grab a bone, move around. Right, cool. Now I can unparent her, parent, clear parent, and let's take the PRP rig, click on that, and parent armature deform. Let's hide our MSL one. Now I can go into pose mode again, and now she moves here too. So now this one mesh, I don't have to duplicate and whatever. This is one mesh that I can use. And we'll go ahead and do a PRP mod in just a second. But this one is done, right? So you can check your output log down here or wherever it's set, and it says package completed. Good stuff. Okay, so if you do not know where your package is, it's really easy to find them. You're just going to click on any asset in here, not a folder, but an asset. Right click, go to show and explore. All right, now in Explorer, you're going to go, it's going to take you to wherever that folder is in your Explorer, but you're going to go all the way back to your main project. And now you're going to go down to Windows. You're going to go to Polaris, Content, and then Packs. And then everything that you cooked will be here. Now I have a lot of mods, so I got to clean this out eventually. But what I'm going to look for is my 8005, which is down here, right? And I'm not going to stress it enough, but make a shortcut to this, throw it in your quick task or whatever, so you don't have to search around for it. You know, it's always going to be here, right? And if you use multiple projects, it might be in different places, so you can use that method to find wherever your cook actually went to. So I've got this here. I'm going to go ahead and just copy it. And I'm going to go to my mods folder. export my game. Oops. Sorry. Polaris content packs. And to keep things organized, I'm going to make a new folder in here. We'll call this demo. And I like to number them so that way I know what the chunk I used. All right, demo, beauty, Azure, SP01. All right, now I can find it. I know what I did here. Now I can rename this stuff, but I keep these. In any mod that I make, you'll see that I don't change these names. You can change them once you get them. It's not going to change anything for you. But I do this so that people know exactly what chunk I used, because I foresee at some point in the future we're going to have conflicts with chunks. So I just do that as a future precaution, right? Okay, so I put this in here and we're good. I don't have any other mods for Assassina on right now. So this should, or I might. Let's see. No, that's the Reina. You're a forger. Lydia. No, I don't. So this should work. Let's see if it works. I don't know. When I stream, sometimes it works beautifully. Other times it just doesn't. So we'll take a quick look and hopefully it works. If this works out great, then I'll go ahead and do a real quick version of this with the MSL PRP. Now I keep my graphics on low because I'm always running all these different programs, and my PC will explode if I keep it on ultra graphics. So, but whenever I'm actually making a mod for somebody or doing something, I always come back and test it. So I build it so it looks good in the low quality, and then come back to make sure it looks even better in the in ultra, which it does, and I'm jealous. So let's go to Azu. And let's switch out this basic one. All right, go to clothes, entire body. Let's go to our bikini. Oh, and I got a fatal error. All right, so let's see what I did wrong. So that's a learning tool. So let's go back and just double check my stuff. So I'm gonna go back to my mesh. And we got this guy. I got this asset. I got my material set to it. Let me click on my material. Let's go ahead and make sure my material is not a material. Okay, material instance. All right. So that should be fine. But we'll take a look at the other stuff real quick. So my meshes look good. The textures, they look fine. My items. Let's make sure my items are good. So let me go back to here. Take a look here. So I've got this. So we know it's working, or at least it's trying to work, because it crashed, right? So now I've got my BI here. I got this PCI and I got the CI. And this should always be set. That should always be set. All right, let's check and see. Sometimes what happens is you might have some runoff. So what I'm going to do is see I'm trying to remember how to do this. Do an asset audit. That's what I want to do. I think it's in the tools. Audit, asset audit. All right. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for I can't remember how to do this. Oh, it's say all types. Okay. All right. And I'm going to go look at my chunks. See what I have. So I have 8005. And that's the only place I'm seeing 8005. Let me type in 8005. Okay, so I only have one thing, right, in my 8005. So that shouldn't be an issue. Let me look at my mod. I have to use my magnifier because my eyes messed up. All right, that is looking correct. That's looking correct. Let's see. See what could be the issue. Maybe it's the maybe this is in the right place. Let's see. Share preset materials MCH item ANLT. So let's see if I did that right. So character. Item shared. Shared. Preset materials. And then materials. Right. The MCH item ANLT. I gotta use my zoom because I can't see you very well. MCH item ANLT. So this one. Right. So that should be working. Interesting. I'm using these. Maybe it's because there isn't a pattern on here. Maybe I should do that. But normally, oh, what did I do? Normally, if there isn't a item parameter, it should just bypass it. So we've got BCI, that's set. We've got the BI, SK beautiful, that's set. 6 is set. We got CI with nothing in it. Should be fine. Interesting. I could try to just make it 8006 just in case. Let me see. Let me go into here. Back to my mods and just make sure I don't have conflicting mod in here. Alright, so there's no 8006 in the game files as far as I know. But let's just search 800. Or 8005. So the only 8005s I have and I don't know why. And then the pack file, pack chunk 8005. Yep. So that should have worked. As far as I can tell, I can't find a reason for it not to have worked. right? 8004 is the last one I used. So we'll switch it to 8006 to see if that causes an issue or not. I'll hit save all. It could be my material. So let's get rid of pattern. And I'm going to go into here and I'm going to get rid of pattern just in case that's the issue. It shouldn't be the issue, but just make sure. All right, you got parent material. This. Yeah, that is strange. So it's probably something. It's always something very simple, you know. When people bring an issue, they're like, "Hey, I did this or I didn't do that," and I'm like, "Huh, this looks to be." I'm just trying to just look where it could possibly be an issue. Sometimes if you don't have certain things loaded, like a material, it'll give you an issue. Hmm. All right, I'm just gonna cook it one more time, just to see. What could be the problem? All right, maybe I changed something. But let's go back to this part. All right, so this part here, I've got this one mesh. So now that this one mesh can be used for both of these, I'm gonna go ahead and just put it back to the MSL just to keep things, whatever. I can go ahead and yeet this one out of here. So boop. So now I have a PRP skeleton and an MSL skeleton, and I've got a, and we'll call this full body. Come on. Double click MSL PRP. All right. So whenever I transfer weights over, um, I can use this one. And so granted, I figure out what the problem is, we can get this to work. All right, so let's grab our person here. And if we look at it, we go to X-ray mode. We can see that our person is not, oh, let's go ahead and hide. That's the same as body. Where's her body? Okay, so it's not exactly the same, right? Um, so let's go ahead and hit Shift D to make a duplicate. And we're going to bring this one into our MSLPRP folder. I'm going to go and hide this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scale it down a little bit. Here we go. Like this. And let's fix this one up a little bit while I got time. Give it a little bit more feminine body structure. Turn off X-ray. We'll go ahead and smooth out this body up here. Smoothie, smooth, smooth. I don't know why she has two necks, but you know what? It's gonna stay like that. Alright, let's smooth her out. We'll give her a little booty. Right. Oh yeah. Fat legs. There's some All right, there we go. Got this. I'm an artist. Okay, whatever. All right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and get these weights on. So now when I transfer these weights over from this mixed one to this one, right, I go weights. And now, oh, I always like to clear all existing weights. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all these groups. Now it has no weights on it. So now let's go ahead and add weights. Transfer. And in this case, we're going to use replace. And we're going to switch to nearest face interpolated. All right, so now we've got all of these weights on here. We also want to make sure that I'm going to go ahead and turn off mirrored vertex groups and X symmetry. And I'm going to go to options to make sure auto normalize is off. So we'll do this one more time real quick. Let's go in here, go and eat these out. Delete all groups. And we'll just repeat. Transfer. And do it all like that. Okay, so now what I can do is I can go ahead and parent this new one to my MSL, parent armature deform. Now if I went and hit Control Tab to get into pose mode with that selected, I can now move it around. And if I unparent this and then parent it to the PRP, and let's go ahead and hide this, so whatever. See that I can move it around. So granted, I find out what's going on with the other stuff. This will work on both of the rigs. And they're the exact, it's the same mesh, so it'll be exactly the same. However, that's not always the case. If you've got modifiers set, like say you've got a subdivision modifier or a bevel modifier or some other modifier set, sometimes when you export from Blender and import into Unreal Engine, it gets kind of like wonky. It's like, I don't know what to do. So one of the things that I found is if you import and you're still not getting like the exact same vertices, and I'll show you where to look for that in just a moment, but you're not getting the same vertice count, then you want to make sure your settings for export are a little bit different. So what I do for my export settings, and so let's go ahead and I've got this here. Let's get out of pose mode. Right, so I've got my PRP and my body here, my new body selected. Let's go ahead and export this FBX, and I'll keep the same name except I'm going to change it to PRP. Now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to use this method. So these are the exact same settings that I have for my other version, except here I have turned off triangulate faces and tangent space. And when I do that, it usually gives me 0 errors when I bring it into to Unreal Engine. Now, I have to make sure I clear the parent, right? And then put this on the MSL. Go ahead and hide this so I don't get confused. Make sure it's all selected. Export FBX, and be careful when you click on it. If I double click on this, it'll just name over it, but if I just click on it, it'll change the name, right? So I'm going to do that. MSL, make sure I have whatever preset that I need, which in this case is this one. Let's say, all right, I've already got my scene set from before, so we should be good there. Let's see how this is doing. All right, so this is cooking. I'm not sure what the error could be. Because the game went to the slot and it went to open up the slot and it was like, I don't like what you have here. There really isn't a reason that it shouldn't like it. It could have been not because I was messing with stuff while the engine was going on. was cooking. I don't know. But the one thing you will have to figure out is that you're gonna run into issues and problems. I've probably made about I don't know, at least 40, 50 different mods, whether they were test or released mods or commissions or whatever. And I run into issues all the time. Um, because I run into a lot of issues, I can kind of figure out where I've gone wrong in most cases. Sometimes I just have to set it down and sleep on it. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see that there's plenty of times where I just get to a wall. And I just sleep on it and we're good. So it says packaging complete. Let's try this one more time. So I'm going to go to my packs. This time I'm grabbing 8006, just in case that was a potential issue. I'm gonna go into this folder. And I'm just gonna delete these real quick. Control V. Oh, you know what I did? I know what I did. Super simple mistake. So I didn't add my underscore P at the end. I use a capital P. So you can use a quick way to do this is select everything and just hit F2. And if I hit right, it'll take me to the end of that file name and I could just add the underscore P. So yeah, I just noticed that I did not add the underscore P. So this should work fine now. Let's go ahead and test it out. A lot of this stuff is very muscle memory for me, just because I've done it a lot of times. So moving at this pace is very slow for me. So it's kind of like the slower I go, the more mistakes I can make. It's probably backwards for a lot of people, but that's how it is for me. All right, so let's see if that was actually the issue or not. I'm hoping it was because I really can't think of anything else. Not in my current mental state. All right, there we go. There we go. Check it out. All right, so we'll go ahead and make sure it's selected. Let's go ahead and take a look at this beauty. All right. You ain't never seen it better. Oh yeah, magic skills, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I looked at that one. So yeah, there you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, cool. All right, so now that's done, let's go ahead and do the PRP version, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and turn that off. Okay, so we saved the different PRPs, right? I exported them out. Let's get them in again. So let's go into, I'm just gonna use the same folder for this case. And I'm gonna go ahead and import both of those. So I can go in here, T, go to my stuff. These are my two new ones. I can select both of them if I want to. Hit open. Now I want to make sure I've got the right one. So this is my MSL. So I'll search for MSL and I'm looking for SKT base MSL. Got it. Import. Don't hit import all, just hit import. If you had a whole bunch of MSLs you want to import, then you can choose a SKT and then import all. But in this case, I have one of each. PRP. All right. So there we go. Now, oh, it's really little. There we go. I was like, what? I was getting worried. Okay, cool. So now we got her in. Now, because I already have that material loaded on the other one, and I'm using the same material name and all whatever, it just loaded it for me. So now on this new version, I got this, right? So I don't have to, in this case, I don't have to set up any new materials. I got to set new items. I got my new mesh. So now what I'm going to need to do is set up a new common situation, right? And there's no common full body items as far as I know. So, but what we can't do is switch it out with any other character, right? So let's see. I'm going to use Ling and Nina, right? Two very different characters. We'll do Ling, Nina, and Reina, right? We'll use all three. And I'm just going to replace their defaults. And I'm going to make sure that in my mods, I've turned everything off. So let me see. Do I have a little turn off thing in any of these? I do. Copy. All right, I'll paste this here. And I'm going to use this little tool to turn off, deactivate all mods and subfolders. One. Okay. It won't do it because this is open. So let's go to F model. Close that for right now. Oops, hit enter to continue. I'm going to run it again. There we go. So if I go into here, all my mods are going to have this _X on them. This pretty much deactivates them. They won't get loaded. Let's go ahead and open up F model again because I'm going to need it. So I have my meshes, I have my textures, I have my materials, right? What do I need now? So now I need to find out new places for this to load. So I'm going to use the default one player, 1P option for those three characters I mentioned, Nina, Xiaoyu, and Reina. So let's go and find out what the prefab name is. So we'll go to character. We're going to go to item here. We'll go to item prefab. And let's see. Oh, maybe I'll do Lydia. Yeah, because I play Lydia. I'm going to fight with this crazy outfit on. So we're in the item prefabs. I'm going to go to CBR. We're going to go to BDF. Her 1P is just this. And I'm pretty sure this is the same syntax for everybody. It's going to be item prefab IP, their character name, BDF, and then 1P. So that's going to make it really easy. So I'm just going to copy this. And it has to be in their location, right? So in this case, I got to make sure I have this item prefab CBR BDF folder. But because I want to make it all at once, I'm just going to make them all in here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to make a new folder. And this is going to be for MSL only. I'll move those in there. Now I'll make a new folder for MSL PRP. All right, so let's make a new item prefab. And I'm going to just paste that name in there, right? That's CBR for what's your name? For Lydia. So I'll call it CBR Lydia. Just drop that in there. Hey, you. Oh, actually, I don't need to do that. What I'm going to do is let's make the BI stuff, right? Let's do that first. So I'm not going to delete it, but we're just going to keep these other ones. So let's do our base item, right? So we're going to say BI, right? And just capital please. And we'll call it beauty MSL PRP. And I'm just going to select those. Copy it. All right. So for our BI, we are going to use those meshes. So it's 6 for the body position, right? And we're gonna go to our meshes, and we're gonna grab the MSL and put it here. We'll grab the PRP, put it here. Now, I was saying earlier that we would use the common item. Now, this only, we're going to click this only if, we could say is common item, but it's not going to do much. What this ultimately tells the game to do, as far as I'm aware of, is like if you've got a common item like a skirt or whatever, and they have legs showing, there's a generic material for the female legs. And when you create this with a common item, it will replace that with whatever character's legs they are, right? So also saying has the tanner legs, Xiaoyu has really pale legs. They'll make sure it's using their individual characters and not. But I digress. So same position ID since it's a full body, except this time now we have the MSL and the PRP. Oh, and what we need to also verify is that the vertice count is the same. So if I hover over here, I can see the vertice count and the triangles, right? So 147,318 and then 49,152. So let's see, does this one match? And I usually just look at the last three numbers. So 318 and 152, 318 and 152. They're perfect matches. If they're off by one, it can cause issues, right? If you got 351 and 352, it could be like, I don't like it. The other thing is, the materials have to match as well. So here I have the beautiful material set to this one, and I also have the beautiful material set to this one in these positions. If I were to not include a material here and try to get in the game, I'm going to get a fatal error and it's going to crash out. So all the slots need to be filled, and all the slots need to be filled. So if you've got slots that you don't want to have, get rid of them in Blender before you bring them over, right? But that's for a more advanced mod. But in this case, you want to make sure your materials are the same, or else you will run into an issue. Let's go back to our MSL only, and well, oops, not the MSL only. We'll go to the MSL PRP, and so this one is set. This is good to go. CI is going to be the same. All right, so CI, I'll hit CI, and then paste. So that's just the names are the same. But I don't know how to write the I for some reason. All right, and then the BCI is just a BCI. Like there's no slot for it. Like it doesn't have like a ID number because it's a common. All right, cool. So we've got these three, right? And that's it. I can use these same three for all of these, right? Because we're doing a PRP. Now, if I was doing physics, that doesn't always work. But I'm not going to get into that. So these are no physics mods, right? So let's go ahead and open up the IP. And in here, I'm going to put each of these where they belong. Done. Now, I'm going to just copy this, and we'll make one for Ling. Boom. But make sure I change CBR, and her initials are Rat, I believe. And I could do the copy paste, but I don't want the same thing that happened before, so I'm just going to make a new one each time. And we'll do the same thing. Boom, drop them, and drop them. And now let's make the last one for Nina. And her abbreviation is KAL. Right. Open this up. Do the same thing. Okay, so all these characters can share it at the same time. Okay, so now we need to put these where they belong. So let's go to Ling's folder if I have one. Let's see, I should. See where you at, Rat? There you are. And I got a BDF folder. So I'm going to open this up, see if I have a 1P already. And I don't, so that's good. Oh, let's do this also while I'm here. One of the reasons I did this in the first place is let's go ahead and open this up. And I need to add those 3 IPs. I don't need to add the BCI and the CI and the BI because it's in the subfolders, so it's already going to be included. But I'm going to move the other ones out of there. So let's go ahead and create 3 new slots. Let's go to our items folder, go to here, and nope, not that one. Go here, and we're going to grab each of these and drop them in. Now, if I hover over them, you'll see that these are in my Reborn Demos folder, which is, for right now, that's fine. When I go over here to actually place them, like so we'll grab Rats, we'll drop it in to her BDF folder, and I'm going to move it, right? I don't want to copy it, I want to move it. If I copy it, this won't change. I want this to change to match where I put it. So now when I look at here, it's getting characters, item, prefabs, and in the right place where it's supposed to be. So let's grab hers. Let's see, do I have a 1P? So I already have a 1P. So maybe I want to use a different one besides 1P because I don't want to do that same issue that I ran into before. So let's look at a different name for her. Let's grab which one do I have? I used President. Let's use her 1P P. Alright. So now I'm going to go back to my MSL PRP where my CVR is. And I'm going to hit Control V to paste it. Also, it's going to update in here. So look, see, boop, it updated. So now let's put it in its folder where it belongs. And double check that it's updated. And it is. We'll do the same thing for Nina. And I have a 1P as well. I think I'm using almost every one of hers. Let's see the options. I don't have Hero Light. Let's see, we got 1PP. We'll do this 1P version 1. Okay, so just like before, everything in the subfolders will be included in this chunk. Everything that's listed here will also be included in the chunk. And it will keep the same folder structure it's supposed to have. So we'll hit save. Go ahead and close that. Hit save all. And ideally what should happen when this is all done is I'll have a whole bunch of these beautiful mods in my game. But it's all going to be under one, right? So this one mod, this one demo is going to have all these different things on it. And what should happen is that these should move to different, automatically fit. Now, that being said, let's take a look at my add-on because I made it. Let's go ahead and we're going to hide this for a second. And I'm going to go into here and let's grab Nina and Ling because I think they're pretty much very different. So let's grab, I think I have a PSK for both of these characters already, or MSL. But just to make sure, let's go ahead and figure out which one of these to grab. So let's go to, I'm going to go to the meshes folder in this case, model. Yep, model, go to unique. I'm going to go to Ling stuff. We'll go to full body. And let's take a look at the meshes here. So if I go into here, we've got, she's got MSL PRP, MSL PRP. That's not what we want. We want an MSL only. All right, so here we go. This outfit is an MSL only. So let's go ahead and save it. And what my goal was is to take like one fit that you made, like say you made it on Assassina, who only has an MSL and no PRP, and you want to put that fit on Ling, who's a lot smaller. Um, you have to transfer it over, and the way that we have to do it so far is either you build it on a common MSL PRP, kind of like what I just did here in this demo, or you'd have to resize it yourself as a modder. And what my goal was is to create something that was a little bit more automated and more specific and exact. And so what I was able to figure out was with the help of ChatGPT is to create a rig to rig matching. Now it only works if the rigs are exactly the same. But I wanted it as a pose, so that way I can make edits as well. And I'll kind of show what I mean by that in a second. So let's click on here. Copy. Let's go to our PSK importer. Import this, right? Okay, so there we go. We got this outfit. Now, this isn't going to necessarily save like physics and stuff. So don't get that in your head. So got a lot more testing, some other things before we get to that. And now let's go and grab Nina. Oh, and this does work for guys too, since they're all using the same like base skeleton. It will work for guys. And I'll show you what that looks like as well. It doesn't look pretty. Let's see. Let's see our intelligent outfit. This one is shared, so not that one. Okay, so this outfit here was a solo. The cool thing is that if you were just doing swaps, right? You don't want to do any modding in Blender and all that stuff. You just want to swap an outfit. You can check to see if the outfit is an MSL or PRP by just going into the meshes and seeing if there's an MSL and PRP for it. If there is an MSL and PRP for it, then you can do the item prefab swap and it will match your character. Most of the guys, I believe, are MSL PRP, but I think the new characters, not the new characters, but like the new DLC ones, like for their throwbacks and whatever. I believe those are all MSL only, if I recall correctly. I think even the Hero Light is a MSL only. So, which blows my mind. I don't know why they would do that. When they've gone through the whole process of setting this pipeline up, why would they not use it? But I am not $1 million dev, so I can't tell. All right, so let's go ahead and grab this one. Copy. So import. Okay, so there we go. And there are two different sizes. Right? So the way this add-on works now is I go to my little add-on and I select one and then I select the other. Right? So I select this one and I hold shift and I select this one, the rigs. And I go up here to armature and I go rig matching. And I forget what's the order is. And it should go through all the bones. Okay, and it moved it over. So in this case, it's what did I say? Select the source rig and then the target rig. So I selected Ling and then I selected Nina. And so now this is pretty much fit to Nina. Pretty spot on, right? Now, granted, the physics aren't set, and I think the boobs might need some adjustment. But if I go ahead and hide this situation, right? Oops, let's hide this one. Ah, which one? This one. There we go. So now we have stretched out, tall Ling outfit for Nina. So Control Z and reverse this. Control Z. All right. And now I can do the opposite as well. Now also, it's a good idea to keep these both at 0. But just to show the example, I wanted to keep them there. So in this case, let's grab Nina's first, and then Ling's, and we'll go blue. There we go. Boom. It matches. Now, one of the cool things about this situation is, let's see, let's go ahead and hide this. Okay, so now I've got the Nina outfit set to Ling's proportions, right? If I go into here, oh, I'm in pose mode already. If I just clear the pose, she goes back to normal. And so what it does is it takes all of the bone information, goes into pose mode, snaps all the bones together, pulls them down to where they're supposed to be, and that will bring the mesh to its cases. I've seen issues where I can copy like a rig setup to another one, like using like a data transfer or whatever, but it does it in edit mode. And so now I just have the bones don't fit my mesh anymore. So in this case, we get to keep that and maintain it. The reason why this is good is, so let's see, let's go ahead and go ahead and clear the pose. Let's grab our MSL body, right? So we've got our MSL body here that I made. And say I have a bunch of physics. When you deal with physics, the MSL PRP uses a proprietary like physics cloth setup that we don't have access to, that works really well with the system that they have set up, but we can't use it. So we're going to use the in-game physics, which are not nearly as kind and forgiving. So if you wanted to do physics on a bunch of different sized characters, you can try to create a universal like collision asset, and depending on what you need it to bounce against, that could work. But in a lot of cases it doesn't, because their hips are wider or shorter. You're gonna have it like really far away from the body, or it's gonna just be a hot mess. It's gonna look all jacked up. So what I've done when I did physics on multiple characters is I would have to go in and then refit I'd create a physics model based on the MSL of the character, and then I would have to fit to that thing and then bring it back in. And there's a lot of things that can happen when you do that. You can stretch stuff out, you can make it look all funky, you can mess up a bunch of things on accident, to just make it look So now what I can do is I can make it on whatever body that I want to, and then move it to whatever body I want to. Now, I still have to make new physics for it, like set up the new simulations and stuff, but once you get into doing physics and checking it out, you'll see where this can provide a benefit. But this isn't released yet. I hope to release it soon. I got a couple other things I want to add to it before I do, but that's kind of how it works. Let's go back and see if our marshmallow mods are all working. So let's go back here, go back into packs. We've got our 8006, so just copy it. I'm going to go ahead and turn off F model because it doesn't like to let me delete stuff. And we're going to just delete these ones and paste F2. Add our underscore P. All right, and then I'll go ahead and check it out. And then that's pretty much it. So this is a bare bones demonstration. Once you have Unreal Engine set up, how to get it up, how to get it set up in the engine, how to do a really dummy material instance, um, etc. It should get most people. This should get you started. Um, I've got other videos of me actually going through different builds and setups, just as demos. Um, Hopefully they'll make more sense after you watch this. And I'll continue to do that whenever I have free time and I've got a project I'm working on, which is like all the time. I just don't always stream. So let's take a look. So we've got, let's start with Nina. And we'll see if this doesn't break it or whatever. So we're going to go to entire body, and I have no idea which one I put it on. Oh, there we go. So there we go. We got Marshmallow Nina. It's looking good. We're going to exit without saving. Now let's go to, oh, I think I did Zhao Yu. And there we go. Default Zhao Yu. Looking nice on her. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I don't know which one I put it on. Which one is it? There we go. Oops. Yeah. You ain't seen a better mod than this. But yeah, there you go. So that's how you make one of the best mods in ever in creation. And I'm just curious. Let's see. Let's. I'm gonna take a quick look. See, hopefully it doesn't break my PC. But we're gonna set this to Ultra Graphics and see just how pretty this thing is. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my goodness. She's a rock star. Oh yeah, look at this. This is very, very bad waiting. No smoothing, no nothing. Just she don't need it.
Bądźmy dumni z tej walki.
I'm hoping that when you all make your mods. Oh
Skończymy
man.
z moim kolejnym spotkaniem. Muszę wygrać w imię wszystkich Polaków. Os!
All right. So there we go. The most beautiful mod you ever did see. MSL PRP. Hold on. Let's Oh wait. Let's do this as a final token. We're gonna grab Lydia. Did I set it to her? Okay. And we got Assassina. And Azu should still have um there we go.
Tylko bez sporu.
It's looking kind of rough. Let's see if they use.
Get ready for the next battle.
Skończymy przed moim kolejnym spotkaniem.
Final round. Fight.
On. Oh, that's it.
Muszę wygrać w imię wszystkich Polaków.
Let's go ahead and screenshot it. All right, cool. That's it. That's all I got. So hopefully this helps people. Who knows? Anyone watches it, whatever. But yep. Come join the Discord and make some stuff of your own.